Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good, good. Thank you. So I am so excited to introduce Fabiola Torres. She makes me think, she makes me laugh, she makes me a better scholar and a much better human being. She's a colleague from the California Community College system, and Fabiola teaches ethnic studies at Glendale College in Southern California, AKA SoCal. She teaches faculty professional development for the online network of educators. She was once my teacher officially, but what she may not know until now is that she's also my teacher in life. Whenever I'm frustrated and need to reconnect with the reasons why I work in higher education, I visit her posts on Twitter or maybe her YouTube channel, or even her Twitter handle, which is I Learn Now, helped ground me in that rich work of serving others. So I'm delighted to know her and ecstatic that she's able to share her exuberance with us today.
Candice, I think you should officially introduce. That was amazing. I know I loved your introduction with Michelle. She puts the each in teaching. That was really good. And Candice, there aren't many, we teach so many faculty, and there's very few faculty that we actually remember. And I have to say that Candice was definitely one of those memorable faculty that we saw real transformation. So thank you, Candice. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to make sure I optimize. Okay, so let's begin. The slides are available online at tinyurl.com, Practicing Radical Love. So those are available for you. Let's go ahead and begin. Get my, okay. Now how do oh, here we go. Okay. I'm a first generation college student, Chicana. I'm a child of immigrants, sister of rock stars, academic chola. And I like to use that term because, I grew up in a neighborhood where, there was a lot of, let's just say young youth hanging out in corners and, being part of our landscape. And cholas, in the negative term, people associate them as gangsters. And I've always seen them as inspirations because they were always so beautiful. They had like the perfect makeup and the hoops and the perfect lipstick, the eyebrows, the eyeliner, which I could never tackle. I always have one bigger than the other one. But more than anything, they were really about loyalty, and they stood up for what was not right in their neighborhood. And so I like to consider myself an academic chola. And I said it before, it's like hoops off for injustice. I'm also an ed tech enthusiast and a Star Wars fan, as you see here in this picture, and a fur parent. As I mentioned, I am a Chicana, and I was born in Chinatown, Los Angeles, on College Street. My parents are from Jalisco, Mexico. My father is a bracero, Vietnam veteran, GM assembly worker, union organizer for the United Auto Workers 645. My mother, she is the CEO, CFO, CIO of the Torres household. I am the youngest of three. My sister is my shiro. And my brother, well, he's my instigator because he's always instigating me to challenge my practice. And if you actually Google Marco Torres, you'll understand. But my family defines my presence, my work ethic, and my ganas, my passion. And my pups, well, they're my Xanax and my secret sauce, which you'll see later. Now, my story continues with my practice. As an ethnic studies professor, I have engaged in and with social justice advocates and scholars all my academic career. Yet I come here today to share my practice and my passion. I want to highlight two scholars that framed this presentation. They are part of my wisdom tradition that inform my research, practice, and purpose. So first is Michelle Pacansky-Brock. As we all were blessed by her first keynote, she's really been a major inspiration to me. I didn't call my work Humanizing Online Education until I learned from her. I think what made her so significant to my work is that she enabled me to be me. I was the only Latina in my department full-time for 19 years, until recently we hired our next Latina. But I played into this white supremacy expectation, you know, what was considered proper, what was not considered proper. And yet my culture, my ancestors, the women in my life, you know, we were storytellers. We are storytellers. We are intrusive. We are warm demanders. And her work leveraged my voice, my existence, and my teaching practice, and most importantly, my confidence. Next, Bell Hooks. Now, I know a lot of us here have read her, have been moved by her. And the reason why I wanted to bring her up is because recently I've been reading and viewing a lot of webinars on equity and culturally responsive teaching and learning. And yet, as I listen deep into these webinars, podcasts, and readings, I realize, hey, that's Bell Hooks. Bell Hooks has been writing about teaching pedagogy since the 80s. And of course, Teaching to Transgress, I'm sure a lot of us read that book. You know, if we revisit it, we'll realize that a lot of her work is exactly what we're talking about today. I mean, she was ahead of everything when I look at it. And what I loved about her is back then when I was learning about pedagogy and in the activist world, you know, we learn about Gramsci and we learn about Paulo Freire. But then I see a woman speak about pedagogy, and Bell Hooks was very significant to me. I love that she talks about love as a verb and not a noun. So that's very significant to the work that I'm going to be presenting. The quote I have here underneath is, as a classroom community, our capacity to generate excitement is deeply affected by our interest in one another, in hearing one another's voices and recognizing one another's presence. That actually was written like on my desk in graduate school. And so when I was reading the book again and I saw it highlighted, I was like, oh my God, there she is. You know, Bell Hooks asserts that love is more than just a feeling. It's a practice. By practice, she means concrete sets of action that persons commit to as a way to enable nurturance, growth in oneself and in others. Oops. So all in all, social justice is radical love. Radical love is a concrete practice in the sense that love's embodiment is expressed in sets of practices oriented toward individual fulfillment and human flourishing. And she says here as well, love is as love does. Love is an act of will, both in intention and in action. And I'm sure some of us have also remembered the quote by Che Guevara, revolutionary from Cuba, where he says that at the risk of seeming ridiculous, let me say that the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love. It is impossible to think of genuine revolutionary lacking this quality. So another book I revisited is all about love. And as I was reading this, again, her words were resonating with me because it's exactly what a lot of our scholars today are writing and publishing about equity and culturally responsive teaching and learning. She says that here, as feminist theorist Bell Hooks calls upon a love ethic. I love that. Love is not merely a feeling, but it is a practice. It is a way we choose to act. Awakening to this kind of love, she argues, can happen only as we let go of our obsession with power and domination. Now, I bring this up because a lot of our story comes from being products of power and domination. I mean, let's think about this. We either did our master's thesis or dissertation, you know, in this environment of power and dominance. Somebody had the power to say, this is good enough. This is enough. This is not good. This is awesome. And it was going through those hoops that then gave us the piece of paper that says we're now a doctor or we have a master's. And so, you know, that power relation is part of our DNA. And many of us bring that to the classroom, that power and domination. And yet love as a guiding ethic makes the possible transformation we seek. Love is what motivates us to call for racial and gender injustice. It is what drives our demands for inclusion, equity, accessibility, and opportunity. So when we practice love, we are actually going against that power and domination that haunted us when we were students. So why today? And I have this quote that I'm going to read it to you. As a nation, we need to gather our collective courage and face that our society's lovelessness is a wound. As we allow ourselves to acknowledge the pain of this wound, when it pierces our flesh, we feel in the depths of our soul a profound anguish of spirit. We come face to face with the possibility of conversion, of having a change of heart. In this way, recognition of the wound is a blessing because we are able to tend it, to care for the soul in ways that make us ready to receive the love that is promised. So, to define these concrete sets of action, Bell Hooks states, to truly love, we must learn to mix various ingredients. And what are those ingredients? It's care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust. Now, to break it down, we have here care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust. And as you go through these explanations of these concepts, they are actually connected to learning theorists. For example, care. Geneva Gay writes about care in culturally responsive teaching and learning as a very key element, as an action in our course design. Affection. Bell Hooks, again, talks about affection as a physical expression. As humans, we crave affection. Recognition, which Michelle talked about, validation. So it is essential to recognize the human existence in our students through legitimizing the unequal conditions and traumas students face and experience in school. We have to recognize that. And then, of course, we have respect, and that we respect our students as producers of information. And I think Michelle said it best when, you know, it's like students are prepared, but they're prepared differently. And Rendon talks about that in her research. And so when we validate students as valuable scholars while we foster academic development, we're actually respecting them as human beings. Commitment. Go beyond compliance. And I have here, make a learning pact. Now, of course, I have highlighted here Michelle's webpage, which is a great resource. I know that I am going to be including a learning pact in my work. because, you know, we usually see a syllabus, and again, that power and dominance view of a syllabus is that it's a contract for students to read and sign. But yet, when we look at a syllabus from that liquid syllabus mindset, or we make our syllabus equity-minded, it is a partnership between student and instructor. We provide what we expect, and then what we will give to our students as well. So they should know what to expect from us, just like we are letting them know what we expect from them. So it's a relationship. It's a pact between instructor and student. And then, of course, trust. And this is Zaretta Hammond. You know, Zaretta Hammond breaks down the brain. And basically, you know, when a student has stress, the learning doesn't happen. And we as adults, we think about this. We've gone through this. When we are struggling with something, we just want to push it away. So it becomes imperative to understand how to build trust between student and teacher that signals to the brain of the student a sense of physical, psychological, and social safety, that learning is possible. So it's necessary. It's the necessary ingredients that can establish the equity-minded framework behind our teaching practice. So I usually like to design a slide that can be like the one you could take a picture of and put it in your desk area so it could remind you. And I hope this is one that could be your reminder of how you want to guide your course design. Now let's put it all together. Now we've heard Michelle, and she had this quote on her slide that humanizing online learning means that it's an instructor-student relationship lie at the heart of humanizing online courses, serving as a connective tissue between students, engagement, and rigor. And I love that she has the word rigor, because I know that I've been, you know, some of my colleagues pre-COVID would say, oh, that I'm being too easy, or I'm babying. That's the one I couldn't stand, you know, because I'm very intrusive in their learning environment. And I think we are still encouraging rigor. When you come from an empathy perspective, rigor is actually extremely valuable and an amazing experience. And I'm arguing here today that humanizing online education becomes a practice of radical love. So let's get to some examples that I'm ready to share with you. So here is a message that I have here that I have in my welcome page, as well as in my liquid syllabus. And I'll share it with you right now. I design my online courses to ensure the best possible outcome for my students. I provide a nurturing environment that promotes excellence. So I'm constantly reminding students when tasks need to be completed. I'm also obsessed with giving students a lot of feedback so they know how to improve in the next assessment. Online environments can be very challenging because we're not physically in the classroom. So there's a lot of distractions. So being able to navigate through life and online courses will be the ultimate key to success. So I explained here that I had my partner interview me. That was a good strategy because I didn't have it scripted. So he was the one interviewing me. Now here is a pre-semester message. Now on our campus, we have this very rigid way of talking to students about what has to be done before the semester. So I wanted to warm it up. And so I added this silly video.
Hello everyone. Yes, I know, I'm an emoji, but you're gonna see a lot of me during the 8-week session. And Well, I thought I'd change it up. So this is our pre-8-week
I'm gonna jump
to decide
ahead.
if this class will fit into your life. So one thing you'll discover is I am not a robot. So I am going to be very present in this class. You're gonna get a lot of emails, a lot of text messages from Pronto, and a lot of feedback. So be prepared for me to make sure you are on task. So in order to stay on task in this class, you can't hop around. You have to do things in order. Here is how. After you get through the 2 welcome pages,
So I go through the navigation process on how to make sure students stay in order so that they don't get lost in the class. And again, I did it all through animojis. Truth be told, I was just still very emotional with a lot of the issues that were happening around my neighborhood, and with some of the social unrests. And so my eyes were poofy. So I'm like, okay, I'll just go ahead and be an emoji and still try to convey to my students that I'm excited for their presence in my class. And here is, now I want to make a note here for my first assessment cheer. When you practice humanizing online education and you do come across students that are very, that grew up with respect, you respect your elders. Like me, I'm still like, I'm 48 years old and I still cannot talk back to my mother. Like it is still ingrained in me. However, what happens is that a lot of students, when they don't perform well, they feel guilty and they apologize to you. And they'll write you that they're so sorry and that they disappointed me. And during this COVID quarantine time, I realized it was like, I felt like it was amplified. So I decided to to post this video for them, and I sent it to them.
I know many of you just want to jump right into the test, and I'm here to say, don't. Don't worry, it's only going to be 1 paragraph. It's not a lot, and I designed that on purpose because I'm going to take time to give you feedback on your writing in ethnic studies. This is not an essay, okay? This is not an English class. This is a social science class, and therefore we're going to be very content focused. Yet, it is also my job to give you feedback, to guide you in sustaining your efforts or improving them. We all have to start somewhere. So here's my suggestion. After you
follow up and I start giving them suggestions on how to perform at their best. And I think at the end, I just remind them all the resources
I have provided you. And last but not least, there's a rubric.
So I wanted to decrease the anxiety that, I wanted to decrease the anxiety that I was feeling was happening, because they really wanted to do well. So I decided to do a video, very light, and just to help to reduce that anxiety and to trust me that even if they don't do well, this video is longer, and there's a point where I say that it's okay to fail. Oops, it happens. I have failed before, but it's yet through that failure that we're going to be able to create a partnership, because now I know what I have to work on with you, and together, we create that partnership. And so the learning is a relationship that goes straight through to the very end. Here is another video that I decided to do. This is a quarantine field trip.
Hello, everyone. So most of you know this as my workspace, but today I'm going to take you on a field trip. You guys ready? Let's go. I'm taking you to my living room. And so my living room has a lot of art, but I'm going to take you to a very special piece that I want to talk about. And this is called Instant Mural by the art collective ASCO. Below is more information on the collective. But let's look at this piece. In our unit, we have been covering.
And so what's happening here is that I'm taking them to, I'm kind of demonstrating that, there's a unit in my course that looks at art, and there's a section on Chicanx art, Mexican American art, and I have a lot of it. I have collected art since I've gotten my full-time job because I could afford it. And I wanted just to give them like a piece of this, of their content, because they do read about ASCO. They are reading about this art collective. And I wanted to show them that that this is what I love. And, I got them to see my house and, give them a piece of my home. I grew up with the idea that a home is so, like, it's a sacred place that you invite people in. So I wanted to invite my students into my living room. Okay, so this is the one, and my apologies. This is the video I had to produce after I realized the anxiety that was coming from students not performing, quote unquote, as well as they could have. I thought they did fine, but I just got a lot of apologies for not performing very well. So I produced this video.
When I think of happy thoughts, I think of puppies. So here's me sending you some happy thoughts. I'm getting some emails or some comments apologizing for the work you produced, saying, I'm sorry, I could have done better. No more apologies. Stop it. Learning takes time. And I think I said it several times to some of you. Part of the learning process is making mistakes. But it's only through making mistakes can we learn and improve. So, stop apologizing. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts.
So yes, I'm silly, and it's my character. That's established from the very beginning. And so they expect this type of humor from me. Here is a simple assignment that you can do just to check in on them.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to take a pause and check in on how you are doing. So let's do something fun. In these very severe times that we are going through, what are you doing to decompress and to rejuvenate yourself? I like to sit outside and hang out with my doggie. Boogie, what do you like to do?
So I always say that pets are the secret sauce to videos, because as soon as a student sees a pet, that suddenly it's like, I have a cat, I have a dog, I have an iguana. And it just opens up a whole other place for you to communicate with students. All right, so here are my non-instructional fun stuff that, again, it's a reflection of my my personality. After we have a test and it's been like stressful and I post grades, I sent this video, and the response was amazing. So, it just caused laughter. It's like you post these things, and then suddenly the student who never talks in class or provide you very little feedback suddenly is like, one student wrote me, my father's a gardener. he wants to know how your grass is so green. And I said, it's fake. And so that caused, you know, and it's like, oh, wow, you know, what kind of gardening does he do? And so, you know, it's just, you open up so much more for your students that you could have these conversations with them. Or how old is your dog? Oh, I have 3, I have 2, I rescued mine. And it's so non-related to the class, but suddenly the connection is happening. Last but not least, here's this real funny video. Candace had referred to it. It's my poop video. This is when things just don't go right. And I'll just play it. It speaks for itself.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I know I am poop. Because I'm here to tell you, poop. Canvas isn't working very nice in these last couple of hours. And it's probably because it's been overflowing with users. So I am not penalizing anybody for submitting their work late for Unit 2 assessment. Hang in there. Canvas will eventually catch up and it'll start working. Poop.
So silly. But, you know, again, I don't take myself so seriously either. Again, I do teach ethnic studies. It's heavy. It's heart-wrenching sometimes. And I need this to make sure that they produce well and feel safe and comfortable. I just want to end with, you know, a culture of domination is anti-love. It requires violence to sustain itself. To choose love is to go against the prevailing values of the culture. So I'm saying choose love. Implementing humanized online education is, in our practice, demonstrates care, affection, recognition, respect, commitment, and trust. Here's all my information that you can, you know, connect with me and ask any questions. If there's something that doesn't get answered right now, please feel free to email me and we can continue this conversation. But just want to say thank you again for this opportunity and for enabling me to share some of the practices that have been inspired by amazing thinkers such as Michelle Pacansky-Brock and Bell Hooks. Thank you. So I guess is someone monitoring the questions? Okay.
So it looks like a lot of questions are coming up about the technology piece. Like, how do you do that? And, and you know, I know it's important for people to have tools, even though I definitely think the right tools can enable the connections with students.
So very similar to what Michelle said, is the phone is an amazing tool. So I shoot on my iPhone, and then if I have to edit, and only if I have to edit, I use iMovie to edit. And then once I edit on iMovie, I upload to YouTube and then allow it to auto close caption, and then I go back in there and fix the captions. Number 2, the ones that are square, which the animojis and the one with the captions already in the screen, it's an app that many of us who have an iOS device, sorry Android folks, but it's only on iPhone, and it's called Clips. If you actually search for it on your mobile devices, on your iPad or on your iPhone, you actually have it. So there's going to be a lot of us here that are going to go, oh my God, I have Clips. There are a lot of tutorials online. It's one of those tools that you can just jump right in and keep learning and keep adding more sparkle to it. But I shoot on Clips, I click live titles, and then I select the live titles I want, and then I fix them. It captions for you. And then the animojis or the memojis, you just click which one you want. And there's also backdrops. And you can be in the park, you can be a black and white noir. You can look like, you know, the video Take On Me, you know, any 80s people. Take on me. Anyway, sorry. It's all sketchy. But those are the tools that I use. I keep it very basic. I will start experimenting with green screen. And that's only because I'm home.
So Fabiola, what advice do you have for people who are brand new to this and maybe not technology experts? Where should they start?
Keep it simple. Keep it, just use your phone and shoot. You open up a YouTube channel. And if people are concerned about privacy, well, there's a way to keep things unlisted. Okay, you just don't make it public. Okay, and then only people who have the link have access to the video. So that's how you can keep yourself, you know, kind of hidden. But if you shoot on your phone, right now, many phones, all you got to do is press share, and it should have the option to share to YouTube. Or if you have YouTube on your phone, you could upload. And so it'll say which one. Oh, this video. And then that's it. And last but not least, you know, be natural. All the ums and the, oh my God, and that's our human side. And only once I had a reshoot, because as you can see, I love wearing lipstick. So I was shooting, and then when I saw the video, I had like red all in my front teeth. And so women, you know, we all know what we have to do to make sure the lipstick's not on the teeth. But I only had to reshoot that once, but you know, it's not perfect. Keep it small, keep it simple. Introduce your dog, your cat. You know, I have on my contact page a little video tip. I love light. Light is my best friend. It's my natural Botox. So, and color. I love color. So it's just, we got to find the little twists and tools, you know, the light, the color, what we wear, as a way to augment our own feelings of insecurity. Ooh, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I look that. Well, then what can we do? Let's brighten it up.
That vulnerability that Michelle talked about earlier. So here's a question. I wonder if you require students to respond to the check-in, or do they just want to?
Yeah, so it begins with it. The answer is it is optional. Okay. And it starts very slow in the beginning of the semester. But because I do a lot of, you know, class work that builds community, by the end, I can't get them to stop. Especially when they discover like how they'll just upload, they'll keep uploading GIFs suddenly, you know, just boom, 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 boom. So it does take time, and, you know, trust is a big issue. And they don't have to put their self on either. I mean, they can just, like I said, take a picture of whatever they want to share. And, but it is something it takes time. But if they see how you put yourself forward, if you are that practitioner, they start to establish trust little by little.
Thank you. So Nate, I see your question. Would you like to ask your question?
Sure. Thanks, Candice. And I see Lisa Sperber's question that I'm hoping we can get to as well. The question I had, I was thinking a lot about what Katie Linder shared with us in the preceding presentation about caring for ourselves and nurturing ourselves and making sure that that's a foundation for the work we do with students. And I'm noticing like all of this energy that you've put into these videos that shape your students' experience. So how do you sort of manage staying sort of grounded in yourself and caring for yourself as you're also producing so much that shapes their experience?
Well, first of all, it is my personality. And I was serious about, I know that, you know, Katie also talks about like, how do we augment what we already have, you know? And that is who I am. People who know me, this is who I've been since a child. I have a very charismatic mother, very charismatic brother and sister. It's in our genes. We have that very loud Mexican family that everyone's on top of each other, yelling and screaming. We don't yell, we communicate, as I say. But it is who I am. And this practice has leveraged that. But I do have to stop and just take care of my body. The editing doesn't hurt me. It's the typing that does. So actually, this is why I like to use the tip that, the recommendation that Michelle uses with the welcome survey. So most students would rather have video feedback, and the few that have typing, I'll do the typing, but most of them, I'll give them video feedback. And so it helps my body. Humanizing my online classes actually reduced the stress on my body. But yeah, that's my personality.
And dogs.
And dogs.
Dogs help, yes. Yes, I have that going on myself. So here's a question. Can you give a couple of examples of effective community building activities?
Sure. So the check-ins work, okay? Number one, the check-ins work, and they could be done in different formats. I like to use Padlet, okay? And so Padlet allows a student to post something that, you know, anything. It could be a video, it could be an image. And if the prompt is like, you know, what, for example, I teach ethnic studies. So I will say, you know, select an image that defines your culture. And so someone will take a picture of like, you know, a hot sauce or like tortillas, or let's say tadig, or you know, something, a lot of food starts to come. And so then suddenly the students are like, ooh, what's that? And food is a great way of having students connect. So if someone takes a picture of like, let's say a crucifix because they're Christian, it causes people, oh, I'm Christian too. What church do you go to? And so it allows them to get to know one another, and they get to know their names. And I will say, I will guide them and say, you know, if you connected with one of those images, when you go to the discussion next week, why not connect with them from a scholastic perspective? I also introduce a lot of research on the side, like, hey guys, you know, it's really important to connect because this creates your social capital. And so social capital is part of our discussions in our classes. And so building social capital begins in the classroom, because one day your classmate that you connected with will get you in the club. So we'll give you the hookup. So I try to really make it clear that creating connection and community is part of the learning process and success in college experience.
One more quick question. What advice do you have for people who are not quite as gregarious as you are? For the introverts among us.
Right, the introverts, absolutely. Share what you want and share what you can. Storytelling is very important. I get a lot of faculty who feel that they can't connect with their students because they're not African American, Latinx, Asian American, and so they say, I'm just white, I can't connect with them. And I will say, but you have stories. You were once a college student, you were once them. Share your story. Share with what you're comfortable with. It takes practice. This is also years of doing this. It takes practice. And so really telling your story is important, because we all have our story. Why are we doing what we're doing? When we interviewed for our job, we said we love to teach. How does that love translate into the work that we do and the stories that we tell and the personality that we want to project to our students? And that's an inward reflection that we have to ask ourselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fabiola. We've reached the 3:30 mark on the East Coast, and I guess it's 12:30 just into the afternoon where you are. It's so wonderful to be with you. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself in this 45 minutes and awakening us to like some possibilities that maybe not all of us have already considered. But thank you, Fabiola, and please imagine a round of applause and cheers from the rafters.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
And thank you, Candace, for chairing the session and helping us with the Q&A to make sure everything gets asked. We have one more chance to sort of process, debrief, and share our stories in breakout groups. They'll continue until 4:15, and then we'll have a break in the program, and then we'll come back together for our culminating presentations from Kathleen Blake Yancey and Doug Hesse. So please, I'm going to open the breakout rooms in just a second. Please feel free to flow in and out as your schedules permit. And Fabiola, thank you again for a wonderful talk.